Shall we do it? Okay, great. I think we're gonna start a little early. We're like 5 minutes early, but it would be great if everyone could take a seat. That would be phenomenal. If everyone could sit down. All right. Wow, that's really loud. If everyone could take a seat, finish your LinkedIn connections and sit would be cool. Carolina. Okay. Okay. I think I'm just going to start anyways. Thank you all so much for coming today to our exciting panel. I wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Tom. I'm all the way on the right, the left from your perspective. I'll be moderating the panel today. Before we jump into the panel, I just wanted to quickly introduce what we do at Clay. So one of the sponsors or the co-hosts, the middle logo all the way at the top, is a startup that I co-founded, and it's oh no, sorry, give me 1 second. It won't move unless I do this. Okay. So I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of a startup called Clay. And what we do at Clay is we catch AI-assisted interview cheating, as well as AI-assisted cheating during online assessments. And before this, I was at McKinsey, and before that, I was doing statistics. And my co-founder, Toku, is a serial entrepreneur and an engineer as well. And what we do primarily is we do a lot of cheating detection during technical screenings of an engineer hiring process. And how it works is our AI proctoring system is able to track eyeball movements during interviews, as well as we're able to detect any suspicious speech patterns. So whenever people stop saying filler words, it might indicate that they are reading off of a generated text. We also have on the bottom left, you can see that we have a secondary angle view of the interview, which is a very simple UI UX. And I have a video that quickly explains how our AI proctor works. It's a very simple UI UX where you can set up your interview link. Or, it could be a Zoom link, it could be a Google Meet link. You can put it in there, create a new link, and then the user can use that to log into the AI proctoring session. I have an upcoming upcoming panels. Next month, actually, we have an AI startup pitch night on the left-hand side. And on the right side, you can see that we're doing another panel next month, which is we're inviting the ex-head of OpenAI who headed sales at OpenAI and helped scale their enterprise business from a couple million to $1 billion, Lisa Rosenthal, and she'll be here. So if you're interested in this event, please go to our Luma calendar as well. I'm going to skip the slide. Without further ado, we can invite the guests to the stage. If you guys can come to the stage, and if you guys can please give a round of applause. All right. Hello. Maybe it would be easier if you could sit where the picture is showing. that might be easier. Kavita got it right. That might be the easiest. Awesome. All right.
To follow the order.
Yes, it would be much easier. Okay, maybe if everyone could start off by quickly introducing themselves, that'd be easy to coordinate.
Certainly. Hello, Austin, and my last name is Ford, and I'm with Oracle. I've been there 11 years. Previous to Oracle, I was a part of several different startups, one of which was my own, a couple others which were other people's, but I was a part of them for the acquisition twice, and then the failure once. And arriving at Oracle has been incredible. I had no idea it was going to be the ride that it is.
Thanks, Austin. Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Raj. You can also call me Raj. Austin's counterpart. At OCI, I run a field engineering group that supports customers out of the West Coast. Really excited to be here. Thanks to Tom and the team for having us, and thank you, Base, also for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kavita Sharma, a sales leader at Oracle in the West for what we call our commercial cloud business. This is our business for small to medium-sized companies, and it's an exciting place to be. I've been with Oracle for 13 years now and had the unique opportunity to watch the company transform from being a database company servicing enterprise accounts, for those of you that have been in technology for a while, to what it is today, which is an exciting cloud partner offering a platform to everybody from an OpenAI to a 3-person startup. So excited to be here. Thank you for having us. And Owais, you're next.
I'm Owais. I'm co-founder and CEO of Tigris Data. Tigris is a distributed storage service that's optimized for AI workloads. We have been around for 4 years, and there are several key and well-known Gen AI companies like FAL, Hedra, Kriya that are customers. I have been doing storage and databases for over 2 decades before starting the startup. I was running storage infrastructure at Uber and working on global infrastructure problems over there, and that's what eventually translated into building a startup.
Oh, thank you for the introduction. Maybe we could start off by kind of the elephant in the room about the recent, I guess, news of Oracle becoming a large player in the cloud infrastructure game. And I think most of us who are not, familiar with the recent news, we know of Oracle as more of a historical database player. But maybe if one of you could walk us through what set off this recent news of, partnering with the biggest AI labs, that'd be great.
Sure, I can go ahead and get started. So, we started off as a database company. We had roots also in applications, in hardware, middleware. Around 2017, we started to transition into providing a cloud infrastructure offering. And at that time, when we started, I think we were the first bare metal provider. So we were a bare metal first company. Our main focus when we were building our cloud infrastructure was really price performance. A part of that was, hey, we ran enterprise applications and we wanted to be able to host those applications on the cloud. And offering the best price performance, the best reliability from an infrastructure perspective, just the core basics, compute, storage, and networking for our customers. And then the second piece of that is also like having a great place to run our Oracle database platform. It leverages a lot of things that we actually translated over into our AI infrastructure. So things like cluster networking, RDMA, which we just kind of transitioned over. I want to say a couple of years ago, that's when we started to get approached by these AI labs that really were just looking for all the GPUs that we had. Because at that time, cloud vendors didn't actually have a ton of GPU infrastructure, and there wasn't a ton of use case for GPUs besides maybe graphics and gaming and rendering, things like that. And we started to see this massive demand of AI infrastructure that customers were asking for, and we were very good at being able to scale up the clusters, which hadn't been done at that time. We approached Jensen at NVIDIA and said hey, we're seeing this demand. We'd like to partner with you. We'd like to build out bigger and bigger clusters with you. And I think at first they told us maybe not, and then they kind of came back and said like, oh no, actually we want to maybe do this. And so that kind of kicked off a very deep partnership with NVIDIA. Kind of also like we have a big partnership with AMD. We started on the CPU side, but then has been growing on the GPU space as well. Our main focus is being able to provide, again, like that infrastructure for customers, not just the GPU side, but also just core compute. We have a big initiative to be able to bring cloud to customers, and also the database service. That's, I guess, how we got started. I don't know if anybody wants to add.
Sure. That was quite the explanation. I think everybody caught that and has all the notes, technically speaking. The value of the Oracle stack, as it's called, includes applications. It's where the end users are. It's where the business is. People run their financials and their taxes, everything on their business in the Oracle applications. We had demand on the front end for AI capabilities as well. People said, hey, I want to do this. Or, you know what, this analytics package is nice. I'd really like to be able to talk to my data, extract information out of it. Use cases came to us. And with that, we had to invest in development talent, and therefore we learned more about the rest of the world's use cases as well. So we were kind of in this convergence, being a data, I guess you could say, leader of all databases for the market since 1977 in terms of relational, allowed us to be so close to the data that we could innovate very quickly as well and deploy solutions. So I think there was inherent demand, just that the market brought us as well for use cases.
That makes sense. I think Balraj commented a lot of the technical capabilities in Austin on the demand of the market, where the market was heading. Just out of curiosity, if you guys can talk about it, was there any strategic movements, like one or two like success factors that really brought up these partnerships with the biggest companies in the AI space? Were there any deliberate moves that worked out super well?
Yeah, I can get started on that. Like I think number one, there was like a maniacal focus on just doing the basics really well. So like when we built our cloud, our main objective was like, hey, we wanted to be able to recreate on-prem performance, which was really difficult to do in a cloud kind of environment. So that was very specific. Again, it was kind of focused on the application side, but that really translated well into the GPU space. And to a certain extent, we were also caught by surprise on the demand there. But like that baseline really did help support us. And then it's also just like we do a lot of effort and engineering just to make sure our data centers are built really, really efficiently. So whether that's just having a single SKU for a specific rack so we don't have multiple SKUs that we need to manage, whether that's being able to fit as much as possible into these racks themselves, collaborating with OCP and things like that. Yeah, I would say kind of the people as well as at Oracle. Like we're trying to solve some very difficult and weird problems in terms of like how can we scale and support these customers. And if you want to add on.
So between Balraj and Austin, I think you heard a lot of the like technical or technological reasons why people, kind of want to move to Oracle Cloud or OCI as we call it. But I can, being on the sales or the business side of the house, I can talk to how it's been impactful from a business perspective, right? I've seen the transition of Oracle from a legacy, well, not legacy, but a database company, that's what we were known for, supporting enterprise accounts. That's what we were known for, security, always important, still important. A lot of that translates into what we do in the cloud today. Security is equally, if not more important. Data, databases, that's what's kind of drives everything that we do. In addition, from a business perspective, I do feel that our cloud organization is its own company. It's like its own startup within Oracle. Whether it's the culture that's driven from our executive vice president, or it's the way that we look at white glove service for our customers. those things are really important. And I've been in so many meetings with CIOs where they tell us that, XYZ cloud vendor, I'm not going to take any names, is like the old Oracle, right? So it's like, I don't know, is that a slap in the face, a backhanded compliment? I don't know. But the point is, many of the other vendors are becoming complacent, right? It's like, hey, if you're only spending $500,000, yeah, we don't really care. We have customers that spend $20,000 a year with us. And, I'm proud to say that, like, I can speak for the people on my team. We're there when you're making the decision. We have to make the decision. We'll have to make a migration. And we're with you through the journey. So we walk our talk. And that, I think, has been one of the differentiating factors that's taken us to like the next level.
So, Tom, you were asking about, like, was there a pivotal moment? Was there something big that happened? What's the inside scoop, right?
Exactly.
There were a couple things. So, take the founder himself, right? He's still involved in the business. The man's 83 years old, lives in Hawaii, kind of a remote employee of sorts, and he is active. And this guy can pick up the phone and call anybody in the world. He can call the president of the United States. He can do whatever he would like to do. So there are a lot of inside things that relationships bring. So no matter how big your startup is, if it's just you, if it's 20 people, if you've got capital to go for another 5 years, it's relationships in the end that really drive things forward. And you're going to get that lucky hit. There will be the lucky hit. And the lucky hit for us was Uber. We had a business run on infrastructure, like a sales play is what I'm talking about, that put the sum of the parts together. We were just discussing with Kavita and Balraj. And this company looked at us and they looked at everybody else and said, so you are architected for economic output. You're not architected for some sort of overhead, legacy, easy to put together, don't have to hire as many engineers scenario. When that got recognized in the market, that was our instant moment. That was the market's aha. So everybody in a startup, you've seen this before, or you'll see it again, where you have that one lucky customer scenario. And that's the one that puts all the momentum behind things and justifies the investment and justifies the other customer contacts and brings that inherent confidence as well. And that's where the people start to really make a difference.
That makes sense. I guess, like, based on what you all mentioned, there are a lot of differentiating factors. There was that aspect of, having network and having relationships that you can build off of. But there's obviously an idea of, like, it's a huge market. It's a very very like competitive. There are players that are huge, obviously, very dynamic. Things change, needs change, but you do have gigantic competitors. And I was wondering how you would, what's on top of mind for Oracle when there are so many, well, not many, but just ginormous players that are moving really fast. What's on top of mind for you in that competition?
This is a fun conversation to have. So Tom, when we look at like our business, we just look at what we do. We really are not, like, if you asked me 4 years ago, like, what was my perspective? It was very much like, how am I going to get somebody to move from XYZ Cloud to Oracle Cloud?
Fair.
Today, that's not our story, or that's not our thinking at all. Our thinking today is, like, everybody there wants to use Oracle Cloud. We've always had a great product. Oracle always makes great products. We have a great ServiceNow platform. We've got the cost performance to back it up. We've got the technology to back it up. We've got great people and a culture that supports customers. So, like, it's just up to us to say no. We're getting a seat at every table now. It's actually fun. And this is true. I mean, I'm speaking from a sales perspective. It's actually a lot of fun because folks have realized that we're not just talk. Like, they've actually got good products. They've actually got, like, regions all over the world. They've got, global price parity. They've got these great egress policies. They can save us money on that. They've got all of this, and it's Oracle. And whether I'm, like I said before, whether I'm a 3-person company or a company got $250,000 in a Series A or B, we'll still treat you well.
You guys have anything to add to that?
I think, like, from my perspective, I kind of don't pay attention to what other people are doing.
Fair enough. All right.
So, like, I mean, like, it's really just about like if you have a customer, you want to solve their problem, just focus on solving the problem to the best of your ability, and then if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, we'll move on.
Okay, now for the crazy. So we have competitors who are hyperscalers that you know, the GCPs, the AWSs, the Microsofts, right? And then there's a lot of the other players that are functioning in similar capacities, like whatever it was, SoftLayer, and take your pick. Anyway, we are running Oracle database, or customers running Oracle database in those clouds too. It's weird. We have to be friends with our competitors sometimes. And we've got business relationships now where we supply our software through their sales channel, and our sales channel's partnered with them. Totally strange, right? But sometimes you have to do this. You have to identify somebody that is in your space and you compete with, but you kind of need each other. It's like the startup that does one thing. There's no startup that does one thing and then lasts the test of time, and that's it. Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, the other one, whatever that, I can't remember, Verbo, so sorry.
Oh,
yeah, take your pick, right? It's always, there's a competitor that's doing the same thing, and you guys have to share some space, and then of course, somehow there's gonna be a business arrangement that comes out of it. It's just a wild deal. But at any rate, so Tom, that's an arrangement we have today where we sell through other competitors as well.
Awesome. I think this is a good segue actually into hearing about Oracle from a customer's perspective. Would you be able to maybe talk a little bit about what Tigris does and how that ties into, maybe decisions you've made about switching over from a different platform to OCI, or but yeah, it'd be great to hear about what you do quickly.
So Tigris is a distributed storage service. It's S3 API compatible, but it has a fundamentally different architecture. Generally, cloud solutions or applications built in the cloud have been all centralized within a single region. That's where the app gets deployed. That's where the data gets stored. But with AI, what we are seeing is that there's more and more distributed compute that's happening, whether it's agents that need to run close to the users, or it's inference that needs to run at a global scale, or training that needs to happen in different regions across the world. And all of that requires a different storage solution, which is distributed in nature, which can move with the compute. And that's what we're working on. So the storage service that we provide, it provides local region performance in all regions across the globe. That's what we do. In terms of our customer base, or our focus is generally AI focused. That's primarily what our customers are, and a lot of them are present in the Oracle Cloud as well. So that's one of the reasons for choosing to work with Oracle. But the other reason for choosing Oracle Cloud is when I think about making a decision, there are different dimensions to think about it. So from a business perspective, when we are choosing a vendor or we are choosing an infrastructure provider, we are kind of making a bet. So we have to make sure that we choose someone for whom we are not just another number, but where there can actually be, some sort of a partnership where, we can get access to the engineering teams when it's needed, where we can get the right level of support that's needed. And all of that has been true so far with Oracle. I heard a mention of Uber before, so I worked at Uber for 6 years, and I was part of the early committees that was deciding which cloud to go with. So I was involved in the technical evaluation when it was AWS, comparing AWS, GCP, and Oracle Cloud. So I had some of that insights as well, and all of those insights kind of led into this decision. When I think about AWS as an example, AWS business, in my opinion, or in my experience, is not built around a partnership model. They're working with a very different kind of model. They have hundreds of thousands of customers, so they're working on kind of that distributed scale, where maybe they don't care about individual customers like us, right? So they won't partner with us in that way. The other thing with AWS is, sometimes you might end up competing with their product because there's kind of this kind of pull inside AWS, where if you build a platform service that's suddenly becoming very popular, then AWS might end up implementing it themselves, right?
Yeah,
So these kind of decisions also come into play. And then when you think about GCP, GCP, I mean, Google has a great technical team, but the customer support is maybe not there. Maybe they don't know how to work with customers as well as some of the other folks. And oftentimes you might have heard of products getting canceled at Google Cloud. So there are all these risks that come into play, and quite frankly, we wanted partnership, and that's what we figured out we would get from working with Oracle, and that's how it has worked out so far.
And you said you were working with OCI at Uber already, and then now you.
It was more of an evaluation phase. So
Okay,
when I
got it.
left, the migration did not happen at that. Migration happened a couple of years after I had left. But it was at that time, Uber was working with AWS, Uber was working with GCP, and Uber was evaluating Oracle Cloud. And I mean, again, that also goes to show that we were not able to build a partnership with AWS, even though you think about it, like Uber has a huge business spending, probably a couple of $1 billion in cloud
Yeah.
spend, and even then could not create a partnership with AWS. Like these are sort of insights that were available to us when we made this decision.
That makes sense. I guess that like I'm also doing a startup. So I guess the question is always, if you're running a small startup, we have like 20 people right now. But my image of Oracle is obviously, large companies doing large things with each other. But is it possible for, companies as small as these startups to work and have partnerships with companies like Oracle? Is it not like what's the current situation right now?
I think so. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I guess.
No, but like Kavita was mentioning earlier, when we started the OCI business, like it really was and is a startup in and of itself inside Oracle.
Huh.
There is a really, like, internally within the field engineering organization, like our purpose statement that we have as an org is to create raving fans, and
Okay.
that's large enterprises to like the 3-person startup, right? And so we've created our business model in such a way where we can kind of give the same level of support to whether it's the Ubers of the world or to somebody who wants to create a company tomorrow, right? And so we have the same architects that we can pull in. We have the same development folks, VPs, whoever you need, right? So we'll give the same level of love and affection to anybody.
Yeah, that's actually true, and it's something that we take so seriously. Sometimes it bites us because we invest a lot of time.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't translate into anything, but we won't change how we do things. We definitely walk that talk of whether you're in a very initial stage as a company where you're going to do something really small, or you're somebody that spends millions and millions of dollars and you're looking to possibly migrate to Oracle Cloud. We'll give it that same sort of treatment and white glove service. The interesting data point is, and I know you didn't ask this question, but I do want to make the point, is that Oracle Cloud initially was thought of as the cloud for Oracle customers, right? Hey, you have Oracle applications, so those are the customers that are going to move on to Oracle Cloud. Fast forward to today, about 86% of our customers have never worked with Oracle before, right? Which I thought was like, I want to bring that data point up because I thought it was like fantastic, because it's just testament to the fact that it's definitely not a cloud for Oracle. This is a cloud for everyone. And that leads into whether you're a 2-person company or an established organization.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago we met. We were discussing the commercial agreement, and I think I made this comment to you that the level of support that we are getting, it feels like we are a Fortune 500 company, but we are not one yet. So yeah, so I mean, yeah, I can definitely say that we get personalized support.
7 years ago, we were in 7th place in the cloud, if you look at it in terms of the size of the revenue and the impact of the market. And now we're in the top 4, of course. The way that we got there was by caring, by being involved, by helping others to succeed on their own and letting that investment organically spread. And that investment returned word of mouth. Developers left Uber. They went to found their own companies. Other people went and they had
Fair.
a different experience in the world that they still needed a technology for, an infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, even software as a service. So if you look back 20 years ago and someone's going to tell you that Oracle's going to go do this, no way. They're going to audit their customer. They're going to drive license prices up as soon as they find that they can negotiate on it. It's going to be difficult. Not so. And the proof is in the pudding. And it's the people who've used the product that will actually give you the testimony about this. So it's been a really good experience believing in others who need something in the moment when they're least capitalized or they're earliest.
Awesome. Thank you. I would love to ask a little bit about more of a general take on the market. I think we talked a lot about how Oracle helps different companies in cloud infrastructure, but when you take a step back, there are a lot of industries. Like Uber is obviously already an industry in itself, but there are obviously other different startups working in completely different industries. From your, I guess, market view, what kind of market are benefiting the most from Oracle's emergence? Is there a certain industry that you guys are more willing to work with? Is it AI? If AI, what kind of AI? I guess if I could get a little bit of view on what kind of markets are most exciting right now from a cloud perspective, that'd be great.
So I may have a different perspective than the other three here on the stage, and I hope so too. Markets with AI are going to vary all over the place at a company the size of Oracle. We've made huge investments in healthcare. We've acquired a healthcare, basically database company, and we've decided to modernize it and make it AI-ified. The other areas that we've seen lots of traction in are anywhere where there is a certain quantity of information stored in writing, print, digital records, that sort of thing. Oracle Relational Database, techie-wise here, allows you to do something called JSON duality. So you can bring those documents into the same database that you run your AI off of. So a lot of businesses right now with lots of records, they want to tap into that. So that's pretty wild. But if you look at some of the legacy sectors that were huge for us, like banking, government, these are going to be some of the, I'm going to say some of the later adopters, but they have to have access to the data, which they own, and they have to have a platform that's secure, which, well, frankly, we have to prove to them. And then they need the AI to have business and use case supported. So that'll be an interesting time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me personally also, like just supporting the West Coast and the Bay Area, I'm getting to see firsthand a lot of companies like Tigris that are coming up to support sort of this AI revolution. So there's a lot of new technology that's getting created here. So to me personally, that's been super exciting. I think working at Oracle gives you a very interesting perspective because like you can kind of help support sort of the bleeding edge, but at the same time, like for enterprises, like we want to be able to support them wherever they are. And that could just be, oh, I need an AI service that will help me write my, review of my employee, right? So summarization, things like that. So Austin's laughing because we just had to do that last week. It's really, it's all over the place, right? I think all of it is very exciting. I think we'll see a lot of change over the next couple of years, and looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like.
So I think the short answer to your question is every vertical, every industry, right? When I think about like the companies that we talk to, a lot of it is also geo-based. My team is here in the Bay Area, in the West, so it's high tech, a lot of AI and things like that. If I think about my colleagues that are on the East Coast, as an example, New York and things like that, there's a lot of ad tech. things like that. So some of that is geographically, but even within our territory, so to speak, I mean, we've got companies doing all sorts of exciting things, right? Biotech companies. You do have, of course, companies in healthcare. You have companies in cybersecurity. You have companies that are doing just traditional. They have a solution and they need it to run on somebody's computer, right? Either on premise or in somebody's cloud. So it spans everything, and that's maybe the beauty of the cloud is that it services everybody, right?
AI in general, so at least like we are infrastructure companies, if I just think about that, there's a infrastructure school again. There's so much investment that's happening on the infrastructure side that I think we are just going to see more, more and more AI native infrastructure companies coming up. In general, when I think about AI in general, and just think about 5 years from now, I think we'll see less training, more inference, and probably 90% or 95% of the workload would be inference, and you would see that everywhere. Whether it's robotics, whether it is an autonomous car, or whether it's an agent, or whether it's video generation, or whether it's someone generating an image, right? Or it's call center support. Inference is going to be everywhere, and that requires infrastructure, right? That requires compute infrastructure, that requires storage infrastructure. So all of these, the infrastructure areas will require a lot of investment, and Oracle for sure is going to be at the forefront, and then companies like us are going to be there supporting the need for that infrastructure.
I guess a related question. I guess we were talking about different markets and industries, but if we shift the question a little bit to enterprise AI integration, how large companies will be using AI now that there's a lot more infrastructure, there's a lot more large companies can do with AI. And do you guys have any hypothesis on how enterprise AI will transform in maybe the next year or year and a half? What kind of predictions or any hypothesis do you guys have?
Yeah, here it goes. No, I'm looking at things from the company perspective. I'm looking at things from the application side of the house specifically, because that's where a lot of our demand has come from. Features in our applications where people can literally get new insights from their data without having to write any new application or any interface. Super important. I would be probably at risk of a lot of things if I said this in front of Larry Ellison, but I'll just tell you, in many ways, I think the death of the ERP is coming. The death of the CRM is coming. It's going to go straight to data, and it's going to be AI-driven insights from the database itself. The application is your voice. This is going to be an interesting transition, and I think it's going to happen in the next 18 months that we're going to start to see some of these companies. The front-end interface is going to change.
Okay. I didn't say that. You did, Austin did.
I kind of agree, but it's going to take some time. I think it's going to start with like embedding AI into the application. People are going to start using it. If you look at the companies that are getting funded in this space, like they're looking at full stack agentic services. When I say that, like, okay, like you can either build a AI service that can help a bunch of lawyers, or you can have an agentic service that's just going to run a law firm by itself, right? So I think we'll see some of that, starting to come into play. It'll be interesting to see how the market adopts that stuff, right? How enterprises are going to want to adopt. But yeah.
Right? Based on what Austin said.
Okay.
Not in our case, but that's Oracle doing well, but yeah.
Ovis, do you have it?
I think it would vary industry by industry. So there are some industries that are just slow in adopting new technologies for valid reasons. For example, healthcare is one that comes to mind. They would probably be the last one to adopt it. Same, I would say, on the financial side as well. But there are some parts of the fintech where there's already adoption there, especially fraud detection is one big area where it's already
Thank
being
you.
used. And in AI and machine learning was already being used there before AI became popular as it is today. Um, uh, but I totally agree with what Austin was saying, is that the interface is going to become natural language,
Yep.
right? Data analysis, we're already seeing it so much easier to do data analysis. We already see, it's so much easier to do research. So definitely, business analysts or analysis or data analysts or data science, like all these, you know, uh, all these use cases where you had to write a, business report manually, or you need to know how to write a SQL query. All of that is going to go away. It's all going to be replaced by a chat-based interface. So yeah, it varies industry by industry, but there's definitely a big change coming.
So Tom, I have one more thing to add too. It's like directly related to Clay as well.
Oh, all
So
right.
we're going to be able to embed application features easier in applications. So the iteration cycles might happen sooner, and they might be modular to the point where they're secure, they're easy to deploy, and then you can recall them back when your use case is over and stop paying for them too. So if I'm doing some sort of, I don't know, maybe I'm looking for candidates and I want to know if they're even real, or am I talking to an AI agent? I'm going to want to validate things, and I'm going to use some sort of software package to do that in that use case. But I'd prefer not to pay for that use case if I'm not using it. So you have that on-demand aspect.
Awesome. Thank you. Maybe I'll open it up to the audience for any Q&A. Okay, well, there's an already a hand. Okay. I will go over there and give you the mic. Okay. You want to shout it? I love that question.
So the second question, I'll answer the second question first. The second question is about, in the future, next 5 years, whether it will be training first or inference first. So I think it is going to be inference first. We will see a lot less models getting trained. Maybe there will be more fine tuning, but in general, of course, I mean, 95% of the use cases would be inference, or the applications that are being built on top of those models. What was the first question? The inference use cases are also very compute hungry.
Like industry verticals? Okay. I would most likely probably have to say like ISV companies. There's still a lot of like core compute requirements that these companies do have. I mean, yes, the GPU stuff is like in a league of its own. And a lot of that is getting, I would say, majority of that stuff is getting used by these like foundational labs for the most part. But I would say there's a ton of like ISV companies. Like if I just look at how much compute Uber is using on OCI, it's absolutely ridiculous. Independent software vendor, sorry. Yeah, tech companies, like SaaS companies, stuff like that. Yeah. Thanks. And thanks for your question.
I guess I had a question for Austin. So the biggest compute right now, in my opinion, I mean, it's well known, is getting the data, cleaning it all up. That's a lot of compute power that's not wasted, but it's necessary to get it all normalized, and then only it's ingestible and through the AI models. It's interesting what you just said, and I don't know, it's not a technical question, but has the market accounted for how much data Oracle already has in the databases? It's all clean. It's okay. Tom knows where this one's going. I mean, is that reflected in the market cap? Because I'm going to make my trade based on this information. Because look, I mean, just think about what you just said. That is, all these financial companies, they have all the data. I never thought about it. And it's all in Oracle. Now that you put these GPU compute units there, and you're allowing it to be queried where SQL has gone away, and if you can get business insights and drive things off of that using agentic, my God. I mean, has the market accounted for that? To the best of your knowledge.
Great question. I mean, I am not a financial analyst by trade, so I have no business answering it. I can tell you that every single time there's an inquiry made, that's generating data also. So the whole thing just keeps compounding. It's bananas. And then the machine to adjust itself and actually give a better answer, you know, with the training capabilities. And then, of course, for us as individuals to audit what people are even doing is wild. And that can be done with analytics and AI too. So this whole thing just keeps going, and it goes so far down the path of, holy crap, do we have enough energy production to be able to sustain all this computation? That's the crazy.
I do want to also kind of add, like, you know, Oracle has luckily set itself up in a very good spot with a lot of the structured information. But I think like a lot of use cases that you see here today has a lot of unstructured data. How are you able to, you know, process and query that? That's why like companies like Databricks have done well. That's why companies like Tigris are on the up and up, right? Of being able to access data wherever you are as quickly as possible, being able to process it as quickly as possible is really important. I want to say a lot of companies still struggle with this problem statement. Like a lot of, especially on the enterprise side, like having a data strategy is rare. And once they do get one, like being able to implement it at that scale becomes very difficult. These companies, I think, are making that a lot easier. Like we've invested in sort of a Databricks-like type solution with our Oracle database and object storage. And you know, I think you're seeing a lot of companies coming up in this space as well. And that's going to be a really important problem to solve if companies want to get the most out of their investment from a GPU standpoint and an AI standpoint. So I won't comment on that.
All right, so first, a technical question, I guess, which is, how did you decide to go into a bare metal cloud provider rather than something that's like hypervisor based, and what were, I guess, the main challenges and roadblocks in implementing that? And then I guess the other question is just like from a partner's perspective, like how has it been, like maybe in a bit more detail, working with OCI, and like what can you as a partner rely on in terms of like go-to-market help and such things?
I can take maybe the first half of that. No, thanks for the question. So I think like the onus of kind of going the bare metal route initially was it was really about being able to run our own applications in a cloud provider. You know, we were, I think, being challenged in the sense of how are we going to get these applications to the cloud? How can we actually run enterprise applications on the cloud? Which is, it's a hard thing to do because you run into things like oversubscription, you run into things like noisy neighbor and stuff like that, which is also a problem from a security perspective. So we wanted to address a lot of those concerns when we, you know, built our platform. So we moved like storage and network virtualization off of the machine to be able to then provide a bare metal, you know, compute to our customers. And then we start to adopt that internally, right? And that has been sort of the foundation of everything that we've done from a compute storage and networking standpoint. I don't know if that helps with, yeah, okay. And then I don't know if you want to take the second.
So you asked about partnering with OCI, right? And I think with a lot of the companies that we work with, our conversation is often like two-pronged, right? On the one hand, we're talking to them, of course, about, you know, running their business on Oracle Cloud, right? That's one side. The other side of it, and it's like this is a conversation that me and my team have every day, is the company asking us, well, you know, how can we leverage Oracle and your ecosystem of customers, and how can we kind of leverage that to promote our own you know, our own company, our offering, our market share, and things like that. So there's a lot that we can do. And just as I said that we kind of walk the talk, and we, you know, we have the white glove service on the sales front. On the partnership front too, there's a lot that we do that's like nobody is written somewhere, right? It's just stuff that we do. It's like, how can we help a customer? can we do a joint blog, and does that get you great visibility? Because now you post on LinkedIn and you say, hey, Oracle and I did a joint blog together. It's when Oasis signed a contract with us some time ago, we had our earnings announcement, and we do our earnings page. We highlighted Oasis company, Tigris Data, on our earnings page. Great visibility, right? Again, he can post on LinkedIn. So there's a lot that we do. That's really not like a formula, or it's not been written somewhere, but we do that like on a case-by-case basis. Of course, we have a whole team that runs partnerships, and we have a formal partner program with partnership tiers and things like that. So there's that piece of it as well.
Yeah. First of all, let me thank you for such interesting event. Exchanges different views on the current infrastructure and how to move forward with AI and machine learning technologies. So all those computations are very power hungry, right? So, and we can see current agenda when various hyperscalers approach some nuclear power vendors, facilities, partner with them to feed those electricity to power that computation. Any movement on the Oracle side, how to fulfill those demands and how to move forward with higher power consumptions and how to fit with those requirements. Thank you.
No, that's actually a really good question. Probably one of the hardest problems that we're trying to solve. So kind of coming back to our core principles, we are trying to do a lot more with a lot less. So in terms of the racks and the systems that we're designing, so like one is we're trying to make sure that the data centers that we design can go through multiple rack life cycles. So what you're seeing on the rack side is like the amount of power that an individual rack needs is going up, right? So it used to be like 10 kilowatts. I think it's now maybe like 500 kilowatts. It's going to hit a megawatt soon, and maybe more, right? And so like if rack power is going up, like can the data center be able to support that, right? So future-proofing of the data center is like something that we're focusing a lot on. A lot of that is like the partnerships that we have, like the vendors that we have in one of the data centers that we're building in Abilene. A lot of that is like we have strategically placed that data center over natural gas pipelines. So we're building a power station above those gas pipelines to then go and generate our own power. So we're trying to solve those problems through some of these ways. And then we're trying to do things where the GPU piece is like very hungry, but if you also look at the network piece, that's also super power hungry. So what can we do on the networking side that can reduce our power consumption so we can send more of that to the GPU side? So like those are kind of some of the things that we're doing. A lot of this, if you're interested, like Open Compute project, like they have like a lot of standards. We're an active part of that, and you can kind of see like how folks like Broadcom, Oracle, and a lot of other companies are kind of coming together to solve some of these projects and problems. I think there was an open letter that a lot of companies kind of sent out the other day as a kind of a call to action space. So I hope that helps and gives you some context. I think there was maybe a question here, and then yeah.
Two quick questions. I think Austin mentioned the founder, Hawaii-based. He has a lot of powerful relationships. Is he accessible to the Oracle Cloud team? What about prominent startups in your program? And then the second question is, it seems like a lot of the other major cloud providers offer credits, 100K to 350K. Are you guys thinking of increasing your credit offering for backed startups?
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Sure. So let's talk about Larry Ellison for a second. So that guy has his hands in I want to say 1,000 different businesses perhaps, and I wish I was exaggerating. He owns a woodworking facility in Berkeley. He is very much into organic farming and sustainable agriculture. And he is one of the people that wants to hear ideas. Every year before our annual event, which is called AI World, He gathers the product leaders together and says, okay, everybody, let's go around the room. What's new? Tell me what's going on. And so they cascade a request down to the senior directors of product and product management. And it comes back up with what everybody's working on that could be interesting or neat. The guy is accessible. It's crazy. Quick story, I got invited to his house. I turned it down. I wasn't interested because I thought it was just more risk than upside to me. And it was for my father's business, and I didn't want him to think that I was moonlighting. So, in terms of accessibility, yeah, there's got to be purpose and reason behind it. And usually for him, the purpose and reason has to be something about a business that is growing and that is interesting and that he can influence. And then he's interested in understanding what it is. Somebody will vet it for him, of course. But in terms of accessibility, yeah, it's wild.
To the second part of your question, and that's actually one of my favorite questions because we hear that a lot. Hey, GCP has given me $250,000 in credits, and AWS gave me credits, and Azure is giving me credits. Like, can you give me credits, right? And our response is simple to that. The way that we structure our costs, and we do bill compares for customers every day, multiple bill compares every day. We have a team that just does just that. What comes back typically is like a 40 to 55% savings versus an AWS or any other cloud vendor, right? So Oracle's stance is no, we're actually not going to go that route of giving you free credits. We're offering you value at the get-go. So if you do a list-to-list comparison, we're saving you 40 to 55%, so the value is already there. But having said that, if the person at the other end is a bootstrap startup and those credits are valuable, we'll go on to say, you should absolutely take those credits and run your business with free credits. And when you're ready to make your final decision and to work with a partner that's truly a partner with you, come talk to us. And that happens too. Some of our prospects that we talk to are like, hey, I went to GCP, my credits ran out. Then I went to AWS because they gave me credits. Now I'm out of credit, so let's stop, right? So that happens. So we don't find the need to do that, and I don't believe as a corporate strategy we're going to change that.
Hey, thanks again. Two questions. The first is, where is most of the power going to come from for the data centers in the next 5 years? Keeping in mind that nuclear might not be ready in time. And the second question, there was a really interesting note a moment ago about bare metal and security and noisy neighbor. And wondering, is bare metal more secure? What are the vulnerabilities that bare metal brings? What are the how is it more secure? How is it less secure?
So on the power piece, I would want to say that it kind of depends on like where these data centers are getting built. Based off, like we do a lot of analysis on like where we want to put these data centers. A lot of that is dedicated by space. A lot of it's dedicated by like where can we access the power. A lot of it is dedicated by like water. Also, that's very important. And so like those are kind of like the major things that kind of go into like where are these data centers getting built. I want to say depending on like again like which country and what's maybe the most available resource there, we're going to kind of go in that direction. So like in America, there seems to be a lot of natural gas, and that's a pretty popular way to create power in the interim. If you go to Europe, a lot of it is renewable, right? And so like there's a lot of investment there on the renewable side. Same thing if you go kind of to the Middle East as well. So there's a lot of solar generation there as well, along with oil and things. So I think it's just going to depend on like which country you're building a data center in. So that's kind of, I think, the first part of the question. I hope that answers. Okay, cool. Yeah. On the bare bare metal piece, like, it's funny, I actually got off the call with a security company today that specifically wanted bare metal because of some of the things that they could do from a TPM perspective. But so on the bare metal side, there's a couple of things that we ended up doing, which was, again, kind of moving that storage and network virtualization off box. We call that off box, right? If you look at different hyperscalers today, they've kind of adopted a similar strategy. So like AWS has AWS Nitro Shapes. GCP has its own offering. Microsoft, I think, has its own kind of offering. So they have taken that from us, which I think is nice. To be able to provide kind of more performant compute, so you get more out of the compute that you buy as a customer. On the other end is like we're doing certain things on the box itself to help improve security. Now you get those benefits whether you're a bare metal customer or you're using virtual machines on top of it, right? So like using TPMs on the bare metal, secure boot, confidential computing. So like those are things that are kind of getting built into these services to help provide more kind of secure platforms for our customers. Not everybody uses it. Not everybody cares to. The other thing with also like the benefit of moving kind of the virtualization stack off box is like if somebody were to jailbreak and kind of get into the hypervisor on a traditional architecture, that it kind of creates a pathway for you to get into another node in the same metal machine. Versus if you kind of move it off box, you're able to kind of cordon that off at the hypervisor layer. So those are some of the things that we've kind of done. There's a great blog that we've written in terms, it's called, I think, Security First Principles of OCI. That kind of goes into a lot of that stuff and a little bit more deeper. So if you're interested, I would take a look at that, and that kind of goes through like the architecture side. Yeah.
All right. I think that is actually the longest Q&A we've ever done. So thank you all for taking part in that. But I think we can do a little networking after this. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. But I think for now we can close the Q&A and the panel discussion. So please give a round of applause to the guests.
Thanks for coming. Thank you, Tom.
It's time for last words. All right. So last words for me are the hyperscalers are alive and well. Do probably not bet against Oracle if you're a short seller. I think we're going to be in there for a while. And equity prices aren't everything. Sometimes there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Hit us up if you need help building something.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah, it was good to be
you.
part of the discussion, and there were some great questions being asked. I'll just do a very short pitch. If you need storage for your training inference workloads, then you know where to get it from.
All right. Thank you. That'll be it. So good. Do you want to get in the photo?